Well, this is definitely a change of pace. It's not every day that you get to watch me draw, and it's definitely not every day that I get to upload videos. So, if any of my old viewers are still around, I guess I owe you an explanation as to where I've been all this time. Well, I've been pretty busy with my personal life, and with my limited free time, it became increasingly difficult being both an artist and a video editor. But I've gotten better at managing my time, and on top of that, I've got a new computer, a new video editing software, and a new microphone. I'm not saying I'm gonna be uploading on a daily, weekly basis or anything like that, but you'll definitely be seeing more videos from me within the next couple of months. I mean, I actually do have tons of different ideas for possible videos. Like, sometimes I'll be doing stuff like this where you get to just see me draw while I talk about just random junk. But I also plan on doing other interesting stuff for this channel, like I'm going to be doing retrospectives on artists, comics, movies, and just other aspects of nerd culture. For this, I was going for a mix between the show's art style and my own art style. And I'll admit, I did screw up a lot while making this, and I did have to cut out a lot of parts where I had to keep doing the same thing over and over. You'll notice I frequently go back and fix a lot of my mistakes throughout this video. The program that I used to make this is called Clip Studio Paint, and I avoided using a lot of the shortcuts that I typically use to draw faster, like curved line tools. Maybe someday I'll show you guys how that's all done, but for the sake of this video, I didn't want to rely too much on using shortcuts while making this. And I didn't want to worry too much about making mistakes anyway because it's just a simple doodle and not a full-blown illustration. If this had been one of my illustrations, I probably would have spent weeks trying to perfect every little detail. Before I sped up the footage, this took me about 6 hours to draw, but that's not including the rough sketch that was used to make the picture, because then you would just be watching me for hours making countless mistakes just to create the base of the character. I mean, this is actually pretty rushed compared to my other work. I also wasn't sure whether or not to use complex shaded colors or simple flat colors like the cartoon had. I don't normally use flat colors nowadays unless it's like a ref sheet or an animation or something like that. But of course, I decided on using shaded colors because, I don't know, it just makes it look more flashy, and I like that. Now, let's discuss what inspired me to draw this. Well, seeing as the year 2021 is almost over, it seemed like now was a good time to do fan art of the Adult Swim show Sealab 2021. The funny thing is, it's actually been years since I've sat down and watched the show, and I've never really drawn these characters before. But if anyone was going to do fan art of the show in 2021, then it may as well be me, I guess. I will admit the poses that I went for are not the most creative, it's just the typical poses that the characters had on the show. I gave Quinn his pipe and Debbie preparing to flash her boobs. There are others who've drawn the characters sort of like this, but obviously I wanted to give my own spin on it. And also, I have fond memories of watching Sealab back when it first aired, a long time ago. I actually needed to have the volume turned down because I didn't want my parents to know that I was staying up late to watch cartoon characters cuss at each other. That was not good. But I did watch a lot of their shows like Sealab, of course, and home movies, and I watched Space Ghost Coast to Coast. I think that was the first one I saw because I think that was actually before Adult Swim. It was on during the daytime, I remember at first. And I used to watch that other show that the creators of Sealab made, Archer. I liked the first few seasons until I realized pretty much every episode is the same. I mean, the writing is a lot more clever than Sealab, but the formula got really old after a while. I think the last I saw, Archer was in a coma and he was stuck in this dream where it's the 1940s and he's a detective or some junk, and that's when I lost interest. I never watched it again after that because the things that you didn't expect became the most expected. You start to grow out of the same old crazy nonsense, especially when you have to follow an ongoing storyline. I felt like with Sealab you could just jump into any random episode because they're all self-contained. Now, I'm not saying the humor to the show was clever by any means, because it wasn't, but the timing of the jokes was pretty spot on. I think a lot of people overlook the importance of timing when it comes to comedy, and I think they handled it pretty well. But I've outgrown a lot of the edgy adult cartoons that I used to watch because they all kind of are the same if you really think about it. With Adult Swim, I don't think their original content ever really lived up to their full potential. I mean, I love mindless dumb humor, but all their content now is just like watching edgy Newgrounds cartoons. but I can still go back and watch stuff from when I was a kid, even if I've outgrown it just out of like personal nostalgia. I mean, back then, I mostly preferred Adult Swim's Saturday anime lineup. Shows like Outlaw Star and Trigun and Yu Yu Hakusho. I remember watching those three way more than any of their original shows. As for Sealab, I always thought it was just a silly parody of Hanna-Barbera shows, and that's all it really needed to be. It was kind of like an abridged series, but actually funny. Well, I'm just rambling at this point, so I'm gonna go ahead and just shut up now. Enjoy the rest of the video.